Look at it this way. This is my, and I, it's because in our look at it this way. This is my, and I, it's a thing that I always say when I look at the jungle. I always love to go back to this analogy, right? When I look at a monkey in the jungle, I always say the jungle is not fair to the monkey. He got alligators that can run him down. He got alligators in the water. He got people that can run him down. He got all type of things. You eat the wrong food, whatever, right? All he has is some long arms with some little legs, right? But guess what? The monkey is not extinct because guess what? The monkey learned the jungle. He learned, hey, that tiger is faster than me. If he went to the tiger and said, "Tiger, can you not eat 2 monkeys a day? Can you just do one?" The tiger's like, "What? Whatever." There's no ethics in the jungle, right? So, but he learned, hey, don't go over there. Live over here. He learned his environment.
Climb that tree, man.
He learned, hey, climb this tree. Don't. Snakes are over here. When it gets cold, we go over here. When it's hot, we do this. So I look at, now I look at my life. I'm 36 years old today. I say, well, I'm in this situation. I'm learning the jungle.
Yeah.
It's not fair to me, right? But what can I do?
Ladies and gentlemen, that sounds like a dope black thought right there.
That's right.
Coming from our special guest, Prince Dykes. That's how we like to wrap up every episode, with a dope black thought. And that's what he's putting out here, basically, is learn that jungle.
Yeah. Getting money like cash, get the money like a cashier. Customer clientele. I was broke, that was last year. Getting money like cash, get the money like a cashier. Benjamin, nothing less. I was broke, that was last year. Don't change them. I never switched up. Been down since day one. Stay social. People change them. I never switched up.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Dope Black Thoughts Live. Yes, new format, new platform. My name is Marques Ivey.
Kevin Cox here.
I'm Hashim, also known as Hashade.
Mike Carter, aka the Paperboy.
And we got a special guest here with us today, Mr. Prince Dykes. He actually was on one of our original shows. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Prince.
OGs, man.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I did it. Last time I was on, I was live in my basement. But I'm glad to be back. My name is Prince Dykes here. I don't know. I'm nobody special.
Okay.
Just a guy with a couple thoughts.
Hey, you're in the right
be,
place. As long as you got some dope black thoughts, it's all good because you're here with us. That's the right thing.
Definitely, I appreciate that.
So, and the last time Prince was on the show, we really had a conversation that revolved around, the myth of breaking this myth that do black people invest? And the stereotypical view is that black folks are poor, where 76.7 of us are not living in poverty in that aspect, and so when you come to us and you approach us, it's okay to talk to us about financial things, stocks, bonds, things of that nature. Let's break that stereotype. But before we get into that though, Prince, we want to ask you a couple questions. If you up on some things these days, the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
All right. So in the state of Colorado, we just had get out of the Judicial Committee, which was a bill on the felony murder rule. But let's turn to something slightly a little more positive in that aspect, which is why we got Prince on the show. And just to talk to us a little bit, let's say, let me ask this question. Hashim, you got some You got some stocks that you invested in?
I don't.
Oh.
I'm probably the least invested person out of all the entire crew.
Oh, well, shoot. Well, there you go, Prince. How do we get a young black man to start investing, no matter the age? What do we do?
Well, certainly not so young.
Young at heart.
Yeah, I will say the first thing is right now in 2021, we have the most accessibility in the market than we ever had before. So what I mean by accessibility, meaning if you go back, in the early 2000s, even in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, so on, in order to even invest and even to buy stocks, it was so foreign. And what I mean by it being so foreign, you had to have a stockbroker. The transaction fees was very high because back then there was no electronics. Electronics didn't get really introduced into the market until the 80s, which some people say that kind of contributed to the 87 crash. But right now you have so much accountability now, accessibility now, because anybody can pick up a phone, anybody can log on to a plethora of websites out there, and you have YouTube University, you got podcasts, things like that. So one, you have the most accessibility that you've ever had. Number two, when you look at investing world, number two, you start with what you know. Your circle of competency. So every day you are contributing to the stock market, whether you realize it or not. Everybody's out there. You're going to Walmart, you're buying your Nikes, you got an Apple computer. So start off with things that you know very well. Also, utilize your profession. Your profession, you may be, you're an attorney, right? Mm-hmm. And by you being an attorney, you may deal with certain products or services that I may not be privileged to know about. So, for prime example, you're a school teacher. You may know about contracts that both of y'all sit on the Board of Education, right? Mm-hmm. So y'all see things get brought to y'all all the time that the city or the school system, products that they're buying from certain companies, you may be exposed to. So use your profession. Everybody has some type of profession, whether you work in healthcare. There's some things in healthcare that I never know, I never understand, like a nurse will or a doctor. So one, you have people use your occupation. One, specialize in your occupation. Number two, the number two thing to do is things that you're using every day. Look at your credit card. What are you spending money on? And let's go take something even simple. Visa. How many people got a Visa card in their pocket that you've been using for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years? So start with what you know and use benefit from the accessibility that you never experienced before, that now anybody can pick up a phone, log onto a website, and you have the most access that you didn't have.
So are you saying, when you say use Visa, are you saying consider investing in Visa as a steady stock that is known to pay dividends and has been growing over time?
So what I mean by that is, some people, I don't know the exact term, I don't know how many stocks are listed. So it can seem like it's a plethora. You're thinking, where do I start? So one of the companies you can start looking at is a Visa. Hey, I've been using a Visa. So something you can do now. Okay, well, let's look at the fundamentals of this company. Does this company make money? Is it a profitable company? Does it lose money? How do I feel about its future? X, Y, Z. Now, once you know the fundamentals of the company, now let's look at the technicals of the company. Is it trading at an all-time high? Is it trading at an all-time low or whatever? Nobody cares about the fundamentals until the stock start going down or any asset. As long as it's going up, everybody says, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. But so I always tell people, first start with what you know, things that you're comfortable with. Go around your house. I'll task anybody in your room and to see how many publicly traded companies that you're already supporting that you know of or don't know of right now. That would be my way of looking at it.
No, he's on point as somebody brought up Dell, Microsoft, and Google.
Yeah, exactly.
The platform we're using, and the Apple computer. I'm sure there's an Apple computer somewhere around here. I know. Mm-hmm. Hey, shout out to Round Rock, Texas, Michael Dell, and shout out to Google because we know they're listening.
And the thing about it is, those are the things you look at and you start with. Because the world of it, what happens today, I look at 2021 and I compare it to, let's say, my dad's generation, which was more the 50s, 60s, 70s generation. His generation suffered from a lack of information and a lack of accessibility. This generation suffers from too much information. There's so much information, you don't do nothing. Versus in my dad's generation, they didn't know enough to do something. So in this generation, you can anywhere you can throw, your phone at, or you can Google anything, and you can see so much information to where you're paralyzed. You don't even know where to start at.
Like it becomes white noise, basically.
Well, exactly. And another thing I would tell people to do, also take me for example. I'm not a very mechanical person. And if I have a mechanical issue, I'm going to go hire a mechanic, right? If I had a legal issue, I'm going to go hire an attorney, right? So, and it's the same thing in finance. If it's something that's scary, you don't know something about or whatever, go out there, seek maybe a financial advisor or a wealth manager that you may trust, and seek out their profession.
Got you. So you spoke of how the previous generation didn't have the access, right? Had the means and not the access. Now we have the access, but studies have shown that we don't necessarily have the means. When it comes to this hiring thing, so coming out of the recession, right? Coming out of the recession, out of COVID, still coming through COVID, how does that really look for someone struggling to make an investment? Do they have to buy a whole stock or whole share, I should say?
And you're 100% right. Income levels does dictate, because people with a large disposable income are more likely to invest. People like, hey, once I pay my bills, I have money left over. That's disposable money. They're more likely to invest. As you make more and more money, the greater the investor you're going to become. Once your basic needs are taken care of, whatever your needs may be. Now, you're right. Some people we don't have the opportunities, or we may not get the job or the phone call or things like that. But I deal in the realm of what can I handle? What can I deal with? Right? I will go crazy. I probably got, 20 things that I can worry about right now. Right. But I choose to say, okay, out of these 20 things, what can I control? Right. And if you have money, or, you got to think about it now today, say people got a $1,400 stimulus check, you can take your $1,400 and you can go buy let's say not a vacuum cleaner, but what's the thing that you clean carpets or whatever? You can buy enough cleaner to start a cleaning business, right? With $1,400, and then to market yourself to say, hey, utilizing social media for free, and to say, hey, look, I have a shampoo or whatever. I come by and clean your office. $50 or whatever the case may be. That $1,400 stimulus check you got, now you legitimately have a cleaning business. You can go out and, hey, let me go clean your carpets. Hey, you know what? You got a couch. I can make your couch look new, right? So those things now think about it. That was almost impossible 20, 30 years ago, because you didn't have social media. Now you have, hey, you know what? I can go spend $1,000 on carpet cleaning, like a shampoo or whatever, and then take another $100, go to market yourself locally. Maybe you may run Facebook ads, or you may find a podcast like this. Hey, can I get a spot? Can you play a little 30-minute segment? Let everybody know I clean, or whatever the case may be. And boom, there you go. Right?
And imagine your name up there at the top of the screen, right there where it says Dope Black Thoughts Live. See that black space? You can be advertising your business right there. Ad space is available, and we're always taking offers. Go to info@dbt.network and let us know what you're looking for. We can make a deal with you.
And the thing about it is, some people may look at it and say, hey, well, think about it. You couldn't take $5 or $10 20 years ago. Where were you going to go? You only had 3 outlets 20 years ago. You had print, which is newspaper and magazines. Then you had TV and radio. That space was so cluttered. It was so expensive. A small person couldn't say, I have $20 and be able to get something, or whatever the case may be. But now you have social media, this very powerful tool that you can start an Instagram page. You can find smaller influencers in your area. Hey, I have $100. I can pay $10 to pay. Can you run an ad for a week to 10 different influencers? And that's $100. Now you got your little business already. Hey, just give me a phone call. I seen one guy that I thought was a brilliant idea, where what he does is he comes out to your house and fixes your windshield if it's cracked. Like your insurance paid for it.
Yep.
He come to your house, fix your windshield. One of the other guys, you see mobile mechanics. I don't even need to have a mechanic shop. Now I can use my social media or whatever. Then I can go out and say, hey, you know what? I'll come to your house. I'll fix, whatever it is, change your oil or whatever. Hey, I'll come to your house and change your oil or whatever. So I'll walk your dog, right? So I think that now we are I think we're probably one of the greatest times we ever had for small business. Mm-hmm. Take me, for example. I would be unheard of if it wasn't for social media. Social media is giving me a voice. I wasn't created by television and radio, the traditional ways. I was getting up, sharing my ideas, recording my own stuff, putting out my things, going out, doing things or whatever. And it created an opportunity for myself that was not available 20 years ago.
Gotcha. So Royal Finance Investment Group, that is your company?
Yes.
So it's a Black-owned business.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. I always like to promote that and let that be known.
Uh-huh.
A lot of our listeners say they support Black-owned businesses, and they may need to invest, get their money up, earn interest, and purchase some financial instruments. So go to Royal Investment Group and check them out. And as that banner said below, please go to patreon.com/dopeblackthoughts. But look, I wanted to kind of give a little bit more of a preface as to how we met, and before our first episode, even together, because you came before the school board in 2017, 2018.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
and he had written a book. This man's an author as well, and I'll put on the banner. You wrote your first book was Wesley Learns to Invest.
Yep.
Talk about that book and talk about the series and how far that's gone.
Yes, I had written I self-published my first book 2015, which was the world's first investment book for children. Wesley Learns to Invest, right? And I self-published that in 2015, and then my second book came out. Y'all remember Famous Amos, the cookies, Famous Amos? Mm-hmm. He was on Shark Tank. I took it to Shark Tank. I didn't make the show. I was a finalist, but I didn't make the final cut. But I met Famous Amos. We became friends. I just spoke to him a couple of days ago as well. And he helped me. He was on the show. I think he appeared on the show twice. And he helped me promote my second book, which Wesley Learns About Credit. So I wanted to teach kids about investing. 2 years later, in 2017, I wrote Wesley Learns About Credit. So I'm active duty military in June it'll be 18 years. I was brought here, to Denver, Colorado. And when I got to Denver, I was like, well, how do I get involved? How do I tried just calling some people, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything, but I felt as though I had a great product that people needed to hear, that people needed to see or whatever. And I'm always been podcasting for, I don't know how many years now, podcasting, YouTube and things like that. And I decided to show up to a school board meeting. I signed up I called up the school board and said, hey, how can I speak? And they gave me a little 3-minute slot and said, hey, you could come and show up and speak with what you want to say. And I went to the school board meeting and talked about, hey, how I wanted financial literacy in schools, how it doesn't matter what you became, you should be involved. And at this time, I only had 2 books, right?
But you also had your other organization, Global Children's Financial Literacy Foundation.
Yeah, Global Children Financial Literacy Foundation. I have a nonprofit as well, which is what we do is we turn kids into first-term shareholders via the book club of Wesley Learns. So we take kids, we turn, right now we're in, I want to say 6 boys and girls club right here in Denver, where we made kids shareholders of Nike and Coca-Cola, and now we're doing Apple. So
Apple.
Yep. Yeah, we're taking, so we took one I would say the first young lady that we did, I don't want to talk over myself, but I went before the school board and I spoke about my foundation. How can we get involved? And that, that's what the first time y'all ever saw me. That helped me get into a lot of the schools. And then I ended up running into, Broncos legend, Terrell Davis, NFL Hall of Famer. He saw the first 2 books. He really liked it. And he just said, Prince, I got to be in this next book that you're doing. I said, well, I'm doing another book about insurance. I want to teach kids about insurance. He looked at me like I had 3, like, insurance. Like, I was like, yeah. I said, I don't think it's going to be a, fly off the shelves, but I think it's very important.
That's what's hot in the streets, Prince?
Yeah, I see that's what he says hot in the street. Insurance. I was just like, I think people should be in how many times people have DM'd me all the time with GoFundMe's because their uncle, sister, brother died. And you're looking at, that's the generational wealth has been, if I can't bury my dad, what do you think those kids are getting?
Yep.
That's the point. Right. And so you hit it on the head, which is really a thing that I think we're lacking. I think history says that Black folks have not been educated at the same rate as white folks when it comes to financial literacy. And I think that's one of the things that's lacking in our school. Also, Black history. Black history is American history, but financial literacy is the thing that if you go back and you know, people are going to be offended, but when you go back and you look at when people were trying to get loans for property, and they couldn't get loans for property, or if they did get loans, it was you know, you weren't getting value, or you were only given enough just to go be in a certain neighborhood. And then eventually, when Black folks filled up that neighborhood, you know, you either buy them out or whatnot, gentrification, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think if there was proper education for financial literacy, not just for Black folks, but for everyone in general, how do you think things would be different for us as a community?
I think it would be massively different. I think the first thing that we're seeing is you're seeing conversations like this that you've never seen before. When I started this out in 2013, I started podcasting and YouTube and things like that. This wasn't a topic that was really people were talking about. Now you see it's all through hip hop. It's about who's making business moves now. You're looking at who's making business moves more than their albums dropping. So you want to know who's buying and who's selling, who's buying land, real estate. Those conversations have shifted, right? And, you know, I like to pat myself on the back and say that I'll help push that.
You're like 50 Cent wouldn't have made vitamin
He
water.
would have made that vitamin water if I didn't do that podcast and say that, right? But I think I contributed to the push, you know, from 2013 to 2021. It's a way massive topic now, you know, to where I think now by pushing that culture, you know, for prime example, I'm gonna go back to this when me and Terrell Davis sat down and he said, "Hey Prince, I think this is cool. Let me do this." He put me on a whole nother platform. You know, he put me on a whole nother platform to where he said, "Hey, well, I want you to go down into the Broncos Boys and Girls Club." That got me onto the media and to the news and things like that. You know, Rod Smith, you know, the other Broncos legend, he got involved. The Broncos, I don't know how many Broncos I met that got involved with that whole project of helping us launch that. And, you know, at the Broncos Boys and Girls Club, in which we turned around, let's say for prime example, the young lady that we purchased Nike, it was $60 when we purchased it originally. And that was 2 years ago. She was the first ever young lady. Her dad is Mo Ford, right? Josh Ford, who was a Colorado, the CU. He was a CU running back, right? It was his daughter. She was the first ever one that we awarded stocks to. And you look how much Nike costs today.
How much is it? Are they going for today?
I can tell you right now.
Yeah, let's look them up.
Yeah. So
I want to know what kind of return on investment.
yeah. So you know, we could have awarded that young lady. We spent we brought her 2 shares of Nike at that time.
143 right now.
Now it's 143. At the time we bought it was $60, right?
Oh, so she's
so we brought her.
She held on to that. I hope.
When we bought her 2 shares and we gave her a nice, you know, certificate. Now we could have bought her $100 worth of toys and whatever, but by us doing that, her dad got the stocks and shares. Our foundation awarded her the shares because she read each one of the books. She took a quiz on each one of the books, and she won the book club to raffle off to win the Nike shares. So now her dad sees that, and we didn't even calculate the dividends that she collected because Nike does pay a dividend.
Yep.
That now her dad is saying, you know what, I want to buy this. I want to buy something. I want to do this. So I think that's what's changing the whole culture just from these little coloring books.
It's going to expand exponentially because then she's going to pass that down to her
kids. And I think that's the answer to I won't say every little problem, but I think that's the start. A politician, in order for us to have a political impact, we must have a financial impact, right? Because somebody has to fund, hey, this politician wants to run, he needs to have some type of funding, right? If you want to start a business or anything, you're gonna need some type of funding. So if you don't have that, you look at hedge funds and you look at things like that, where our market participation is, which is very low. So I think by having these conversations, when a kid turns 18 years old, credit shouldn't be something they're learning. Insurance shouldn't be something that they're learning or whatever. So
right.
You know,
and there shouldn't be a light or a cable bill in that kid's name already as soon as they turn 18.
Yes.
But here's the thing about credit. If you can tear something down, you can build it
up. That's true.
So, you know, you heard so many people tell the story, oh, my mom, you know, had the light bill in my name and it went bad. But how many people can turn around and say, hey, you know, my dad, he had good credit. He put me on his credit card when I was 8 years old, right? If you got good credit, good, hopefully. If you got good credit, hey, you know what? My son is 8 years old. My son has a credit card.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
If you'd have read Wesley Learns About Credit.
I did. Well, dadgummit, I'm about to order the dang book at this stage. That's
Amazon.com.
Right. Chris, you should have been like, the answer for your question is in the book.
Wow.
Have you read the book?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Have you bought the book?
So this was a positive story, a positive outcome story. What are some of the pitfalls and risks that people have to worry about when doing this investing? Like, can I just download Robinhood and go become rich overnight?
Don't do Robinhood.
Now, this is what I would say. My first thing is I'm a very optimistic person, right? Whether it's good or bad, I believe in when it comes down to the economy, I'm very optimistic, right? I know there's a lot of ways to say, oh, interest rates are high, Apple is selling off, you know, we had a pandemic that hit through. I'm a very optimistic person. I think we're going to figure it out. I think things are going to happen, right? So when it comes to investing, yes, there is a risk, right? So if you're a novelist person and you're saying, I don't want to just throw my money, that's because Robinhood makes it look like a game. It's almost gambling. It's speculating. You know the difference between investing and speculating. It's nothing wrong with each. If I left here and went to a local gas station and picked up 5 lottery tickets, I'm speculating that I'm going to win something. Versus if I sit down and I study the cash flow statement, I study the income statement, I study the balance sheet, I listen to the quarterly I read the quarterly shareholders meetings, the 10Q reports and the 10K reports on a company that I'm familiar with, and like, hey, I like this company. I buy the Nikes all the time. I like Nike or whatever, and I make an investment based upon financial knowledge. Now, let's say here it is. I'm gonna give this to you right quick. You want to know how to beat 98% of active investors?
Yes, I do.
Something that's simple. S&P 500 index.
Okay.
S&P 500 index. You can invest into the S&P 500 index with $1.
Okay.
Right? Everybody got Cash App. You can buy stocks off of Cash App for $1. You can buy Nike for $1.
That's right. You sure can.
Now here it is. To beat 90% of investors, all you got to do is buy the S&P 500 index. Stock symbol SWPPX. And the reason why I put that one out there, because it has the lowest fees and you can start with it's no minimum. If you went and got the ETF, you'd have to have $300. If you would have got VU or SPY, that'll cost you $300.
SW 400. I got SPY. That was the first stock I bought.
What is PYT? All this.
Michael Jackson.
Okay. So SPY. That is the Standard & Poor's. It's pretty much the top 500 companies in America. You've heard of Google? Have you heard of Tesla?
A little bit.
You've heard of the top Facebook, all the top 500 companies in America. That's what the S&P 500 is. So let's say 20 years ago when Blockbuster fell off and Netflix came in, it would have shifted that way right there.
So you're no longer invested in Blockbuster. You're all in for Netflix.
Yes.
So what was that first one you said? The first one.
SWP.
PPX.
Let me just look that up real quickly.
Now, when you look at that one, right? When you look at SWPPS, that's a Charles Schwab S&P 500 index fund.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And the Charles Schwab, how much does it cost right now?
$60.06 a share.
How much did it cost last year?
I can give you that. Last March, it was down to $41.
So $41 to 6. Now look on there and tell me what is the minimum required investment. Can you see?
It won't. It's not showing me that.
You got Robinhood?
No.
Oh Lord.
No.
Okay.
I was looking at stocks, but I got E-Trade though, so I can do E-Trade.
So on E-Trade, the minimum with E-Trade, nothing wrong with Robinhood either. It's a broker. You know, it's nothing wrong with it. It's better than nothing. So when you look at the SWPPX, right? You can, even though it costs $6, you can invest with it. There is no minimum. So meaning if you had $1, as long as you kept it for 90 days, you got to keep it for 90 days. If you sell it under 90 days, it's going to charge you a $49 fee.
It sure does. That's exactly what it says. Early redemption fee, $50.
Now, how much is the minimum?
There is no minimum.
So can you right now, have you spent those $400?
Oh no, have I?
I said with that SPY, you brought.
Oh
that
yeah,
you
absolutely.
Could have took $5.
Could have took $5, yeah,
and put it right there, right? And then on top of that, you can set it up to where automatically invest every week $5 into the top 500 companies in America. So right there, that index fund, when you put everything together, it outperforms 90% of active investors.
Sheesh.
Nice. So is there a good time to buy into that though? Like,
So I put it this way, right? I'm not that smart. I'm pretty good at what I'm not. I'm pretty what I want to say one of my best qualities is I know what I'm not good at. So if I knew what I know today, of course, I would have threw everything I had and I would have bought everything I would have had in March, and I would have brought SWPPX. I would have brought Red Robins. I would have brought Southwest Airlines. I can look at that. So the thing about the market, people say, "Oh, is it the best time?" If you're waiting for, if you can tell me when the best time to buy a stock, you are insinuating that you understand and know the stock market better than anybody else. You can time the market. I'm not smart enough to time the market. So what I would do is get in and stay in.
I like that.
Yep. And I see someone on the comments said they would treat it like a savings account that I can't touch. And I like that idea. But if we look at savings accounts, I remember back in the day, savings accounts used to earn 3% interest. What do you earn on a savings account nowadays?
Oh, so right now, the Fed chair. Who is the Fed chair?
Is it Yellow?
No.
What?
Then we just do female.
She's the Secretary of Treasury.
Yeah, Secretary of Treasury. Oh, that's right.
She used to be the
The Fed chair. That's right. She did. Yep.
Now who's the Fed chair now?
Boris?
Huh?
Not Boris.
Jerome Powell.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. It's the first African American,
No.
right? Jerome.
He's the first white guy that I met named Jerome.
Oh, sheesh, man. I ain't paying attention. That's crazy.
The other African American.
There was somebody that just got appointed to some place.
Yeah,
but okay, all right. Anyway, so Jerome Powell. That's crazy.
Now I
Other
met
white.
a white guy named Jerome. He's like
He's one of us now.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, but the thing what he did, he's the Fed chair. The Fed chair just spoke yesterday. Every time they speak, they shift the market, right? And what he does is he controls interest rates. So how does this tie into a savings account? Is he lowered interest rates back in March. When the Fed chair lowered interest rates, that's great for investors, horrible for savers. Because when he lowered interest rates, that takes down the interest rates on savings accounts, CDs, all those type of things, right?
So the interest that you earn, not
The interest that you
pay.
earn. Yes.
So if you're earning less than 3%, maybe 1%, I'm assuming
A savings account right now, you'd be lucky if you get 0.25.
Jeez
If
Louise.
you're getting 1% on the savings account, please.
But
Please
if you were to
DM
save, if you were to use that SWPPX as your savings account, you went from $40 to $60 in 2 years.
Now let's look at
1
it.
year.
Let's go back.
1 year.
How was it 5 years ago? What was SWPPX at 5 years ago?
5 years ago, let's see. I'm gonna go right back to
So I like to hit people with factual data. So they want to be like, hey man, some goofy looking dude said, no, they'd be like, no, he showed us. We saw it. Anybody can look this up. Anybody can Google and see what the S&P 500 is. So when people say, hey Prince, man, I'm having a hard time. A lot of y'all just got $1,400, right? What is $1? You know?
5 years ago.
What was it at 5 years ago?
2016.
Yeah.
Looks like it was less than, it was just about $30.
Okay. So right there, right? So that's a double on investment.
In
So-
your savings account. you effectively got a
Your
savings
savings account doubled in 5 years.
So on average, how much does the S&P 500 return on average annually?
I have no idea.
I can probably say that.
Or you can Google it. This
Mhm.
Anybody can just Google what is the average return on the S&P 500.
8%, 9%.
Say again.
8%, 9%.
18.3 in 10 years is year to date 18.39%.
Now that's year to date so far this year. It did 18% last year, but on average, if you don't account for a real return, inflation, it's about 10%. If you account for inflation, about 7%. Right? Inflation is moving at the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell yesterday said he wants inflation to be around about 2%.
Okay.
If your savings account is getting 0.25,
Your money's shrinking.
this is called the invisible tax.
It's 1.75% tax that no one's talking about.
There you go.
Look at that.
Wow.
Kevin, go.
You said it yourself. It's the invisible. Nobody comes to you and take it and say, hey, look, hey. But if you're renting, guess what? You get a letter in the mail saying, hey, rent's going up next week.
So when Michael Paperboy, because he got the paper, when he's paying our invisible
He's got the
producer
paper.
Jaden all that big money, Jaden should put it into SWPPX instead of into Bank of
Now,
America.
this is somebody, this is the top 500 companies in the world. Now, I didn't go in there and say you got to go in here and be a super duper genius. And did I say you need to read financial reports and be a super duper genius or whatever?
No, did not.
And blah, blah. You say, hey, you just start off with, hey, let me just get that stuff. If you got a kid, a son or a daughter, right? How you help out with their credit? Right now, if you got good credit, you go in there and add them on as an authorized user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you can control how much they spend.
Yes, I do know that. I thought you had to wait till 18.
No, you can put them. My son has been on my credit card. He just had his 10th birthday yesterday. He's been on my credit card, I don't know, probably like 2-3 years.
So I can basically set a limit of what, $20 a month, right?
20
Something
bucks.
like that.
You put their allowance on your credit card, and they can have their own card.
And you getting rewards for it.
So you should do that with Jaden. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
You get rewards for paying allowance to your kids.
Yeah, you say, hey man, here's $20. If you put a limit on it, hey, he only can spend no more than $20. You give it to him, and when they get declined, he's declined, right? Now I'm getting rewards in my account, and you know what? People do that. People.
Good.
So when people are doing that, and I published this in a children's book in 2017.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I just learned something. I'm probably gonna do this.
Me too. That's all. I'm like, let me hurry.
Gotta be careful with the
So
with the kids, but still.
So now let's put a disclaimer there. Now, if you get reckless with your credit card,
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
can hurt the kid.
Oh
too.
yeah, absolutely. It
Now, when
affects
they
them.
turn 18 years old, they already got a line of credit. They already got a banking account. Every kid should have an investment account. Every kid should have an investment account. Think about birthdays.
How can you do that right now? So do you set the investment account up? Do you set it in your name or care of so that because go ahead.
Jaden had an investment account. There is a place in Cherry Creek, the Kids Bank.
Young Americans Bank.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am. I know Rich. Rich, that's the C guy down there. CEO.
Okay, and I know Jaden has not my money, his money. He has. They allowed him to start both a bank account, a savings account that he could put money in with not a credit card, but a debit card.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't connected to my account yet.
Now the thing about it is, with my belief is that every parent right now should have a custodian account, investment account for their child. You're walking around in America, you're buying clothes, look at this table. Who's making this table? Who's making all these things, right, that are going around? You have to look and say, hey, there's an economical machine that we're excluded from. Houses are building equity.
Yes, they are.
Look in Aurora. Over the last 7 years, housing have doubled in Aurora. If you were renting, right? If you were renting, or if you didn't own a house or whatever, you didn't get any of that.
You get any of that.
The second thing is, look how the stock market has done within the last 10 years.
Right.
If you're not investing, you don't get a piece of that, right? So you essentially have people that are locked out of the economical machine that's moving right in front of their face.
So what do you do with someone who's 45, maybe 47, and doesn't have an investment account right now, doesn't have a stock account? Would you recommend anything to them in this aspect? Is it too late to get started?
No, it's never too late to get started. I would tell people this right here. And if I was to go in and tell you, man, my car is making a noise, what should I do, Kevin?
Go to a mechanic.
So right now you have people, one of the most notorious financial planning colleges here is the College of Financial Planning, right? You got so many people that are going there, they've graduated or whatever. Growing up, I never knew nobody that had a financial planner or financial advisor or anything. That was unheard of, right? Or a therapist either. But let's say you reached out to someone and said, hey, look, I'm trying to build a 401k. I'd have no 401k, right? I don't have a 401k. How can I get a 401k or whatever, right? And sit down with that person that they'll walk you through with helping you build a 401k, right? Find somebody that you know, that you trust, right? That is qualified, have the proper licenses. Look for a fiduciary. A fiduciary, right? Fiduciary by law has to act within the best interest of the client. So look for a fiduciary to say, hey, by law, let me sit down and see, can I find me an investment advisor or a retirement investment account, and say, hey, we have all this accessibility today. Create your 401k if you want to create a 401k.
So Prince, do you offer those services? Does Royal Finance Investment Group offer those type of services?
Right now I'm private. I'm not open to the public at this current point. Just with my workload with being a podcaster and things like that or whatever. So I'm closed to the public at this point. But once I retire from the military, I'll be more open to the public.
So is there a place that you would recommend,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
person
Yes.
of color that you would recommend, a black person in particular, not to water it down, but a black person that you would recommend that our audience, that we all can go to and say, this is what I need to do. This is what I like to do.
Unfortunately, not at this time, right? And the reason why is because there's a lot of people that didn't trust what I say, and that's something I don't take lightly. So I won't sit there and say, oh yeah, just go to Susie, John. Yeah, they'll take care of you or whatever, you know. We have a lot of that's going on. So I know a lot of people that do stocks and that invest, but it's a difference between doing something and being a professional.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a difference. You know, I can go on Legal Shield, right, and say know all this stuff about legal, but am I an attorney?
Right.
I'm not an attorney, right? I cannot get an attorney advice. He's a professional. He's an attorney. Now, I do know a lot of people that are doing good things, that day trade and stuff like that, but I can't say, hey, go to this person because you ain't qualified. I'm sorry. Right? So that's why I bust my brain, and you know this, Kevin. I always let you know what I'm doing. Like, hey, I'm doing this, because you have to be qualified.
So would you recommend someone going to a platform right now? So I'm actually on. I'm on every morning from 7:30 to 8:30 every morning, because I'm playing the stock market. I'm doing it, but I'm doing covered calls. That's why I talked to you about that. I made money off of it. All right, so I'm doing those and options.
What about a cover call ETF?
Yeah, actually, I just did my first one.
Oh, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did. We talked about that. Yes. See,
Okay.
I'm just, because right now I'm looking at it as a way that I'm looking at the tools that so many people have used that we don't know about. And so I'm watching your videos. I'm watching some other videos, you know, in particular, because I'm just trying to figure out what can I do to generate income.
So what is a cover call ETF? Y'all keep using insider baseball talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, look, I'm outside.
This is how I would look at it. I will start at the bottom level. If somebody who's tuning in and saying, man, I want to get into investing, I will say this. Anybody can go to E-Trade and set up a retirement account. Anybody can go to a TD Ameritrade and set up a retirement account. Anybody can go to Fidelity and set up a retirement account, right? And I would say start off with an index.
Yes,
After the
index fund,
S&P 500, low cost index fund. Then the next level is when I want you to do too. When you look at SWPPX, look at the fee on it.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at the expense ratio, right? So once you had that, then go to individual stocks. Say, hey, you know what? Now I know a little bit. I got my feet wet. Now I can go to stocks.
So you're saying start with the safe stocks that you know are guaranteed to do better.
I would do indexes first, a broad range of stocks.
Your Coca-Colas, your Nikes, your Apple.
Shouldn't they start with an investment person first?
I can't hear you. Say what now?
He said, shouldn't they start with an investment person? I don't think you have to.
You don't have to. Yeah, because accessibility has increased.
Has changed so much.
It's changed, right? Like, think about it. I can get on my phone and go to YouTube and learn how to change a muffler.
So two things. One, where do people go to watch your videos, Prince? And two, people should understand, don't use your rent money to make these investments.
That's right.
After your necessities are met, and instead of having that fast food this week, whatever, go ahead and eat at home and use that income to get you.
Yes, I do a podcast, and anywhere podcasts are available. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, or whatever. I do a plethora of things. I show people how to transfer their money out of Robinhood and go to Fidelity or E-Trade if they want to do a transfer. I show people how to buy their first stock, how to set up a brokerage account, how to open up an account for their child, how to buy ETF, how to buy a mutual fund. I try to make a plethora of information on E-Trade and TD Ameritrade. Now I'm branching into Fidelity. And the advanced level are derivatives, something like stocks, right? So
hold on, before you go further, I just want to keep breaking it down for folks at home that are interested. So Apple, if you have Apple, they can find your podcast on Apple. Can they find it on Google Play?
What's it called?
We're on Google.
What's it called? Isn't that
The Investor Show.
Right.
Which is so the Investor Show is the YouTube is where I went. It was the funniest thing because we spoke, and I was looking specifically on how I could do a covered call. I think he had a 4-minute nice digestible video on YouTube that I watched. And although it was a little older, I went and still was able to do the same thing. So it's called The Investor Show.
So when you went in there, when you saw it, you were like, I think I know this dude.
Well, I didn't see a picture, but I heard the voice. I was like, and then I said, is that Prince? This is Prince Dykes. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, okay. So I subscribed to that, just like y'all can do here. I'm gonna pull into Kevin. Y'all can subscribe to us as well. Absolutely. But I subscribed to that, and then ended up watching a couple other videos and went ahead and make some moves on in the stock market. I've been doing it every day for the past 2 weeks. Been on every morning, and then I do the power hour if I get a chance, which is usually about 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, which is the close. So yeah. And so, easy does it, easy learning. You can go and open up a simple E-Trade account, TD Ameritrade.
Scott, and I use 3 and my platform is built around 3 things really. It's either going to be interviews or I do commentary on what's going on in the world, because economy, if you know what's going on in the economy, you know what's going on in the world really. So I do comment. So I bring commentary off of, let's say Jerome Powell spoke about Fed Reserve. You're like, what are you talking about or whatever. So I do commentary, I do interviews and tutorials. So the thing that people love the most are the tutorials. So I do tutorials, I do a little bit of commentary, and then we bring on guests as well.
You had Killer Mike on, didn't you? The other not too long ago.
Killer Mike was on like a month ago or something like that. Yeah, Killer Mike, Wolf of Wall Street. It's a plethora of people that's from
so if you have Al Gore's internet at your fingertips,
all you have exactly
is go to youtube.com and search and watch the video.
Yeah,
I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere that you could, and then the books, the children's books, because I always tell people it's good for what you're learning, but also make sure you bring your children along with it.
And that's awesome that you bring that up as we're approaching the religious spring holiday week, right? And fill these Easter baskets up with children's books on investment, on savings, on insurance.
Say that.
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about. See, now that's a dope black thought right there.
So your children's credit scores and bank accounts can rise like Jesus rose.
Like Jesus.
Again, with all power in their right hand.
Yeah, and and those books are hardcover, paperback, ebooks, and audio. Okay. So you can listen to it and watch it at the same time. You can just listen. And I even made a cartoon series too that's out there too that's floating around.
Good Lord.
So you can watch a cartoon, you can listen to it, you can do an ebook, you can do a hardcover to keep it, for whatever. And and it's
so do you feel that this is safer or a better option to go than instead of like buying tennis shoes and trying to flip tennis shoes?
Well, I will say this.
The Yeezy market is popping though.
People, I don't know that market. I like to stay in my lane, right?
Exactly.
I like to stay in my lane. If I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know.
Yep.
Right? But I feel as though every person in America should be diversified into these 3 spaces. You should own some stocks, you should own some real estate, and you should own or invest into a privately held business. Now,
black businesses.
Now you got to think about it. Now you got a company like Start Engine. Now, I would tell you this. I launched the app in 2014, and I took it to Shark Tank. And it's my whole video is out there because I got to the semifinal. I got to, the finalist thing, but I didn't get picked up for the show. And I didn't have the capital to keep pushing into this app, right? I didn't have the capital to keep pushing into the app and to write the books at the same time. I had to pick one, right? So, and podcast, I was like, I had to choose which one I want to do. I said, if I don't get picked up by Shark Tank, I only have enough capital to pursue these other ventures. So that app essentially is what we know as Start Engine today. And it's where, let's say, this podcast can go put themselves out there on Start Engine and raise capital. I can sit at home and go on Start Engine today, and I got like one of the football leagues that are up there. I don't know if y'all saw the grown men that play football with no helmet. They run into each other, like it's kind of his own league. But they're raising money for like $500, $600. You could become an owner in that league.
Oh, really? Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Because they're trying to raise capital, things like that. So
I haven't seen it. I've seen bare knuckle boxing.
yeah, this one is like grown men, like
Good Lord, we're
play
going crazy.
football or whatever. So, but that's the league. So now you can, if you don't feel like, hey, I'm introverted, I don't want to start a business. I think you should be invested into someone else's business. I think you should own land or your own home, at least your primary residence, or that should be a goal. And you should have stocks. That way you are at least involved. You're at least a part of the economical machine. So here, when people say stock market at all-time high and you don't feel nothing, that's a problem.
So is it realistic to take $100, invest it in the stock market and manage it and make $1,000 in, let's say, a year? 2 years.
That's definitely doable. But I would say be careful, don't speculate. Don't use it like a crap table. Know the difference. Like you said earlier, don't put your rent money. No, I always tell people invest enough to retire. Speculate on what you can afford to lose. If I go on Star Engine, I'm speculating. You know, it's a company I got in over there. I'm like, oh, it might do something. I got $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. I'm speculating. I'm like, all right, maybe it may do something, whatever. But what I'm putting into my 401k, what I'm putting into my portfolio, that's what I need. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is what I need to get to a certain point. So I always tell people, don't speculate. Always try to speculate on what you can afford to lose.
What's that? Sean talking about in the comments?
Rule 72.
Okay, the rule of 72. That's how long. If you take your interest rate, pretty much this tells you how long does it take for your money to double. So if you take the rule of 72, and let's say if you have 6%, if you earn 6% in a rule of 72, what is 62? I mean, what is 6 divided by 72, or vice versa? If I tell you, hey Kevin, you're going to earn 6% every year, how long would it take Kevin to double his money? You would take 72, you divide it by 6,
9 years.
and that's 12.
12? Okay.
Yeah, 12. So that's 12.
Yeah,
so it would take you 12
yeah.
years to double your money.
Okay.
So you use a rule of 72 to tell you, if you know the interest, you can tell how long it's going to take for you to double your money.
So it'll take 12 years to double your money with 6%.
Yes, if you had 10%, right? If you were earning 10%, if you divide 72 by 10, that's 7.2. It'll take you 7.2 years to double your money.
Okay.
So that's the rule of 72.
All right.
I got a question real quick.
Yes.
The one I have small investments.
That's fine.
I prefer, and I think I talked to Kevin and Marques about this. I prefer drips because I want to get out of the way. I just want to put money in on a consistent basis in a company that I trust, and then just get out of the way, let the company do what it needs to do. Talk to the listeners about not the investment part. I guess it is the investment part. Putting the money in there and leaving it.
Okay. Yes. I think they always say, I'm always going to quote my favorite investor, Warren Buffett, right? And his quote went something along the lines of, the stock market is where money transfers from the inpatient to the patient. Last year, this time, would have been a great time to buy airline stocks.
Because it went down.
Yeah, because it went down.
Buy low. Okay.
It was a great time to buy restaurants, right? When restaurants was going out of business left and right, you didn't know who was going to be next. But some people can't be patient enough because you're touching it every day. The reason why you trading options, let's be honest.
Oh, yes.
90% of everybody you trading,
Yeah.
I don't want that slow money, 10%.
Yes,
You know, I
exactly.
get 10% in a day.
I do. I want the premium, and I want the if it hits, I want the profit on top of the. Yeah, I'm with you.
But 95% of people who think like that will lose to an everyday person.
That's why I have 2 portfolios.
You
I
got that long
I
Ivey money.
have one that's dividends
Mhm.
that I'm growing. You know, I find certain dividends in certain industries, and I'm just sitting there letting those grow. And I'm purchasing. I'm trying to get to 20 dividends of each of these 10 that I have. And then the other one is I'm playing
So
around
who
with
do
that.
you got your cover calls on?
Some companies you probably never heard of.
Who is it? Like, give me, I might hear.
I can give you one right now. It's a weird name, but it's producing. and it's about
He's
to,
just producing
it's
it.
about to hit tomorrow too. So you ever heard of a group called, let me just pull this up so I get you the symbol. It is UVXY.
No, I haven't heard you.
Yeah,
What name is it?
well anyway, they were a company that was at one time there was 30,000 per stock
Okay.
share, and then it's gone down. So anyway, I bought in. So just cover call here. I bought in at $6.50, and I bet that it wouldn't hit $7. If it did hit $7, then I would lose my 100 shares. But I'd make the profit on the shares, on the exercise
Now,
shares. Yep.
When you do this, right, when you do a cover call, this is my thought process. I always tell people only do cover calls on things that are financially stable.
Yes,
So
exactly.
let's look at this, right? Why not do a cover call on the index?
That's what I'm talking about next. But you see, you have to, here's the thing. You had to buy 100 shares
And it's more expensive.
to do a cover call.
So
So,
this is
right.
what happened, right? Do you know that people with poor people make riskier decisions than wealthy people?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
See,
That's my point of buy hold
so
Leave it
because
alone.
what happens is
to our listeners.
people with little money want big money,
Mm-hmm.
but people with big money want little money.
Yeah. Slow. That's
It's
slow
crazy.
dollar.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you are in a position of you look at somebody like a Warren Buffett, right?
Mm-hmm.
He don't need to hit the next big thing.
Right.
His company is not a get rich company. Berkshire is not a get rich company. It's a stay rich company.
I like that. I like that. It's a statement.
I like that name.
Stay rich.
Now, I want to give Mike some credit. I want to go back to what you were talking about, Mike. You're talking about that drip, and that's not literally, oh, I want the money to come in drips. It's dividend reinvestment plan, right?
Right.
I get that right?
And like I said, I found a couple of companies that I like. Well, no, I'm not even gonna be. I ain't gonna apologize. I found a couple of companies I like.
Right.
I'm not gonna worry about them. I'm not gonna worry about the stock market. Every month I put money in. They have a dividend. They take the money I put in, the dividend that they give me, and they buy more of that stock.
Mm-hmm.
I would need the whole company to melt down, and I'm not buying companies that do that on a regular basis. I'm buying Exxon, Coca-Cola. I'm buying even when Exxon goes down.
Nike, Apple,
So let me ask you a
Pepsi.
question.
Yes.
So Mike, how do you know if your portfolio is doing well?
I also have the Ivey index, where I just said, give me the most ridiculous, outrageous thing you can buy, and I'll buy some of that.
So if I know, so how do you know if your so here it is, right? So how do you know if your portfolio did good last year or not?
And when the market goes down, the dividend lags, and my job is not to time the market. I want to own as much as possible. So when the dividend, when the stock goes down, I buy more.
Let me say this, Mark. Let me ask you this question. If, let's say, at the end of last year, I'll say this going into 2021, what would make you a happy man for your portfolio?
Well, no, I got the what was it? Was the end of 2020? I was not happy, but it wasn't. But it's not the issue of I'm not trying to time the market. I want to be in the market with as many stocks as I can of that one company. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm saying this as a. I think that when most people invest, they don't even know. How do you know your portfolio did good or bad?
Oh, well, since I use Apple, I know most people use Excel.
Here we go.
I use numbers on Apple, and I have a portfolio that I built, so I can monitor my stocks. I know the quantity. I know the gain.
You can't afford Apple.
I know the price, the
Well, I
52-week low, the 52-week high.
I think I'm missing my point.
Well, no, and my question is, and I think my question
You're
is,
gonna have to jump in and just say it.
well, how long do I need? Do I need to have my portfolio do good? A month?
Uh-huh.
A year? 5 years? Or 10 years?
And think about that. For a year, right? What would make you say, you know what? This was a good year.
Why would I ask that question, though?
Say again?
Why would I ask that question? If
Well,
I'm in it for the long haul, why do I care if it was a good year? I want
let's say if you did it if you measured for 5 years, what would you say? Okay, this is a good 5 years.
Well, it would be what you said. It would be my stock versus the index. It would be my stock versus the market.
That's what pretty much I was saying.
That's
right?
all.
Okay.
So
I got you.
and the reason why I asked that question is many people who invest, they don't even, because 90% of the people that invest, right, over time, they don't even beat the index.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd have been better off if they sold all that crap they had,
Yeah.
threw their whole ideology out the window, right, and just got one index.
Yeah.
Got you.
Index funds are great. I'm
It's like
investing in a couple of
somebody
swap
say,
funds.
let me get an S&P 500.
Yeah.
Right. It's most people that got this. I don't see people who got 300 different positions in a portfolio. Right. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Whatever. Right.
How can you manage that?
How do you know this is doing a good job? They don't realize that. You know what? You'd have been better off if you threw all that away.
You need a benchmark to measure it.
There you go. So the benchmark of finance is the S&P 500.
So, in case anybody feels like the children of Israel after they left Egypt and they crossed the Red Sea, and they're a little lost right now, watch the videos. Go to YouTube, watch the YouTube.
We put a couple of videos up on the Facebook page for you guys. Put your books up on the Facebook page.
It's on YouTube too. It went through YouTube and Twitch as well.
And people, you were right. I was saying that because a lot of people, right? I know people like Prince. I got what has investors have amnesia. I'm guilty of it myself.
Right.
Where when you talk about an investment, you only talk about the goods. You be like, man, I bought this penny stock and then boo, 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 boo. But you don't talk about all the other stuff that went bad.
Yep.
But if you really look at what you lost and what you gained over time, you'll realize, like, man, I'd have been better off if I just
stuck with that.
So and I want to hit home again before we leave, or is that people need to be realistic and have proper expectations about this. It's not, very rarely will it be a money overnight situation. High risk, high reward, high risk, big losses. If that happens, so just be very realistic with it. Don't look at this as I'm about to get a dub, I'm gonna flip the dub, and I'm gonna have all this type of stuff. Because even with that flipping, there is high risk involved in that, right? So I'm just trying to say it in relatable terms that people can have the proper expectations when they go out to venture something like this.
Just real quick, and I want to touch on what Prince said and pull it out. We're talking about ownership. We're talking about the whole point, and the three things he went into: real estate, investments, and a small business. We're talking about ownership, and the tragedy of Black culture is we were denied ownership, and we are now in a position where ownership is there. You can go out, you can buy a portion of a company. We are in the midst of where 5 Points is one of the hottest real estate investments, in the state. We have that ability. We just have to be able to keep that and have that ownership to where you can pass on something when you're done. You can pass on some real estate. You can pass on some stocks. You can pass on ownership of a business. But go ahead.
That's it. No.
He's 100% right. So the thing about it is, when people start investing, I want to know, hey, what are you going up against? Knowing, hey, when am I winning or losing? Or, hey, it's just be better if I reallocate my portfolio, to look at certain things. But yeah, we have the most accessibility. It's very cheap to get into it now. And, in all aspects, you can buy land online.
Yes, you can. Actually,
buy houses in Detroit right now.
You know what? You can buy houses. You can buy houses that are already rented.
Yep.
So this is what's killing me, right? So it's my social consciousness part.
Uh-oh.
Anytime I hear finance, I'm like,
Cringe.
Am I contributing to the exploitation of my people because I'm investing in these homes in Detroit? But I know that, Sister Essie might be getting put out of her home in Detroit because this big company doesn't have the same compassion that I do while I'm fueling this beast to go out and eat my people.
My thing is, when I look at things like that, it's, I don't look at it as like, hey, I'm trying to, I'm like, what else can I do? What else can I do? Maybe if I got to a position, maybe I could be in a position where I can give Miss Essie her own home, right? But maybe I can get to a position where, hey, Miss Essie, now I've done well. I have a apartment complex where I can give you. But when I'm looking at the situation I'm in today, what can I do to better it? You know, can I? Of course, I'm pretty sure if you chase down your portfolio, you'll find out that you probably invested into a company that's doing something crazy, right? But what else options am I left?
Right.
Funny you should ask. There's one option that's left is that you can support legislation and candidates that are willing to rein in Wall Street and put in these legislations that would make divesting a thing, right? That would actually be ethical investing if there is such a thing.
He says that it's because, you know, and I look at it this way. This is it's a thing that I always say when I look at the jungle. I always love to go back to this analogy, right? When I look at a monkey in the jungle, I always say the jungle is not fair to the monkey. You know, he got alligators that can run him down. He got alligators in the water. He got people that can run him down. He got all type of things. You eat the wrong food, whatever, right? And all he has is some long arms with some little legs, right? But guess what? The monkey is not extinct because guess what? The monkey learned the jungle. He learned, hey, that tiger is faster than me. If he went to the tiger and said, "Tiger, can you not eat 2 monkeys a day? Can you just do one?" The tiger's like, "What? Whatever." No ethics in the jungle, right? So, but he learned, hey, don't go over there, live over here. You know, he learned his environment.
Climb that tree, man.
He learned, hey, climb this tree. Don't snake over here. You know, when it gets cold, we go over here. When it's hot, we do this. So I look at, now I look at my life. You know, I'm 36 years old today. I say, well, I'm in this situation. I'm learning the jungle.
Yeah.
It's not fair to me, right? But what can I do?
Ladies and gentlemen, that sounds like a dope black thought right there.
That's right.
Coming from our special guest, Prince Dykes. That's how we like to wrap up every episode with a dope black thought. And that's what he's putting out here basically is learn that jungle.
And kill any Tarzan you see in that jungle.
I think you were saying the jungle ain't fair.
I took that as something else. That was
it's a
but
concept.
if you got killed Tarzan, fine. But wow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we went over, but it was worth it. My hope is that you go back, you review this. I also hope that you go to the Investor Show and go learn. You heard one of the 3 things that you can get yourself invested into: stocks. And you can do it right now. And you just heard one right now. I just did it actually while we were sitting here. I just went in and put $120 in it. I just bought 2 shares. Yes, I did do that.
So the 3 things were stocks, private business, and real estate.
Yeah.
Here's a private business right here. You're watching. Dope black thoughts.
What? You can buy land online too. So we spoke about you can buy land online.
Yeah.
A lot of people get stimulus checks. There's a bunch of land, nobody land in Wyoming, Colorado.
Do you have to go to Wyoming? No.
Huh?
Do we have to go to Wyoming?
No, you ain't got to.
I'm all down for empowerment, but
Why would you do that? That's not go crazy.
They're just gonna send you a letter to pay the property tax. You pay the property tax is yours, and you could sell it in the future because now you can use it as collateral in the future to,
Exactly.
Yep, Wyoming, lovely state, friend of the show.
All right. So with that, we say peace.
to all our
We'll see
Wyoming
you
fans.
all Saturday.
What is love? It's a drug. Later rotating to hit back in it. Calling me an Uber just to hit back in it. Use the cash out like pay, I spend it. Is it really worth the wait? I don't get it. Divide and gravitate. Taste that wet emoji got me higher